Hello. The skies are beautiful and blue, the sun is shining, but the wind is blowing. And I'm just going to pop in my broad beans. So let's go down and have a look. For growing from seed, check out my previous video, how to sow broad beans. And I've got two types of broad bean here in my square foot gardening bed. I've got a broad bean which is more of your conventional broad bean called Vectra. That gets to about 1 metre high. So what I've done is I'm going to plant 6 here. I could put 9 in quite happily, but this fence behind here is sort of encroaching a bit. There's going to be a dry area, they're going to have to grow round. So I think 6 is perfect, and I'm going to grow them in between this old iron gate here. They don't need it for support. What they won't do is they're not going to wrap around it like that. They don't grow in that way. They're just going to grow there, and this frame's just going to be there as a bit of support. I'm not going to tie them in unless it starts getting really windy, and if I do, I'll just put a loop of string round just to sort of hold them in place. The other broad bean I have is here, which is a dwarf broad bean, and it's called the Sutton. It's one of my faves. I've grown this for years and years, grown it on allotments, grown it in gardens, grown it in my own garden. So I like it because it produces about 5 big beans per pod. Right, and I'm going to plant, again, I could plant 9 in here quite happily, but unfortunately I don't have 9 plants. But I'll plant it a bit like a 9. So let's start with my 6 first. And because I'm planting in a bit of an awkward spot here, I'll start with the most awkward ones to plant, obviously. Take my trowel, take my plant. And my plant, I'm just going to run my fingers like this in between to support it. Give it a tap or a squeeze, and you can see it's just rooting there. Then I just move it there. With these, they're planted a little bit deeper, so I'm going down about, I don't know, 3-4 inches, and then popping that in. And generally I'm planting it to the level that it was in the pot. It doesn't matter if I overplant these a tiny bit though, as long as I'm not burying any leaves that are going to rot. So that's that one. Then I'll get in there and I'll pop that one in. Again, fingers like that. I always like to make my planting hole first and hold it back with the trowel, particularly when they're only just rooted like these ones. The way broad beans root is they tend to go up and down rather than create a root ball in the pots. And if you have found that they've created a root ball in the pot, they've probably been in there a long time. And you'll notice I'm planting these really close together, and I'm not planting in a row method. And that's what this square foot gardening is all about. But actually it's quite similar to the row method in the fact that the distance between the two here. So that's quite a similar thing. And the beauty of this is that there's going to be very little competition from weeds. The watering is going to be minimal. Now that I've used the can to get everything set up and started, I don't need to use a can again. I'll use a bucket and a cup. Now on to the dwarf beans. You would do this same marking out if you were doing it by seed. Okay, just give that a little bit, drop more water. So when you mark these out, if you were doing a 4, like 4 plants, you'd just go like that and that. If you were doing a 9, which I'm going to mark this out as, you get your horns like that, across and across, and that gives you 9 squares. So that was like that. I can do it that way as well for you. Down like that, down like that, and that gives you 9 evenly spaced squares. Now obviously I've got 8, but I'm going to basically have mine overlapping just here. So I'll plant the first one in. And unlike when you're sowing the seed, when you're planting, you tend to go over your lines a bit. But that's not a problem, because once you know how to do them, you can just remark it. I'll try and do the trowel that way so you can see what I'm doing. Again, between fingers there to support the plant, tap and a squeeze. See, these are better rooted than the other ones. Planted this on exactly the same day, kept in exactly the same conditions. Now these are a bit floppy at the moment. What I could do if I wanted to is I could whack some like twigs in, pea sticks. It's just a broken branch, so let me show you. These are a bit on the small side, but these are some broken bits of old fuchsia that I've got, and you can have them there. Just put them in as a bit of support. I don't tend to like to spoil my dwarf broad beans too much. I don't usually support them unless it's really windy, and then what I might do is just put 4 poles in here and a bit of string round. If you're worried at all and you want to keep them off the soil level, then that's your way of doing it. And again, you probably want to use a larger size set of twigs, so you're allowing for the growth. Once they start to flower, try and pinch out the tops. That will keep them around that height, and the aphids, like the black fly, will tend to not set on them so much. Last one going in. You notice I'm not peeling away these any, because they are fairly new and it's not rooted all the way through, so I'm just leaving them. Particularly as like sort of these peas and beans tend to grow lateral roots up and down rather than around. Right, there we go. They look a bit of a dog's dinner, but tomorrow they would have perked up and they'll look fine. Got a label in each. I think even though I've got a planting plan and I know what they are, it's not a bad idea to have them labelled. Particularly if you go away on holiday and you ask someone to water something or pick something for you, if you've got it labelled, there's a very highly reduced chance that they're going to do the wrong thing. Yeah, snipping them off is better, I find. So you just get to the union there and you just give them a snip. There we go. You see here. Move the camera in there. And we've actually got 4 in there, because it looks like one has aborted. Normally you get 5, up to 5 in these. And they're a nice bean actually. And I'm going to pick a load of these because we've got roast today. But also, if you dry these out, again, home safe seed.